Everyone, we're professional now. Quiet down. Quiet down. Welcome back to Well, fuck this shit. Welcome back to some professional StarCraft from the Team Liquid Map Contest 12. Wardy's hosted tournament. Some professional players playing on some of the potential newest maps. We're all going to be voting at the end of February. In fact, you might be watching this well after the end of February, in which case it's already over, you missed it. But over 160 maps submitted, the 15 finalists played on by some of the best players in the world. These two are some of them, but since I couldn't come up with the name of the other player, and I have no idea who it is, in the top left, he will be known as Cheesytoss. 16 finalists. 16 finalists. Close enough. And the top 5 will be winners. And Cheesytoss, already, much like a Cheesytoss would, is not walling off the natural. This is a standard map. Triton is a standard map by a map maker who I cannot remember. I definitely planned ahead with this. And therefore, kind of a normal setup, and by that, you got a natural that's relatively defensible. You've kind of got a choice of third bases, whether it's a pocket or triangle third that is nearer to your main base, but makes it a little bit more vulnerable if people are going for drops or something like that. Or a further out third that usually Zerg players like a little more. It's more open and makes you less vulnerable to things like prisms and medevacs. Yeah, give me a kappa in the chat if you're watching this after February. So Impact is on the other side. I completely forgot about him. We don't really need to do the whole intros. You guys can read, I assume. Okay, maybe I'm giving him too much. But opting for, well, Impact is known as kind of a gotcha Zerg. I haven't come up with a better term, so we're sticking with that. But a gotcha Zerg is kind of a Zerg player who relies on those off-tempo timings that you don't really expect. Other examples are like Sue, and sometimes Dark. Dark is a bit more dynamic, but Impact is definitely a guy who, oh, you didn't expect 24 Zerglings to try to come barreling through your wall even though you have it locked down? How did that work? Why is it happening? I don't know. Nidus timing, stuff like that. Against most top-tier Protoss players, I'd say in a straight-up game, he's probably not favored, but he doesn't usually play a straight-up game. Example A. Well, the Overlord has already scouted that there is no wall at the natural, so he's just building a bunch of Zerglings. And he's going to try to kill him. What? Where are you going? Sentry! Where are you going, Sentry? Cheesytoss making a mediocre decision. The Lings catch him, and they will kill him. So losing a Sentry early and not having a wall against a bunch of Speedlings, this is off to a not an unexpected start. As a Protoss, I don't know why he decided not to build a wall at the nat. Perfectly, well, okay. So I've just gotten past this information. Okay, I've gotten past this information. Apparently, this wall is larger than a normal ramp wall, and it's harder to wall off. Doesn't really explain why you just build it in the main and then try to wall off the net. But anyways, Impact is coming in with dozens of Zerglings. He still has some damage to do before he's evened out the worker count. Looks like he's a bit indecisive here. Probes are going down, but remember, look at the worker count. Think about the damage that Impact has done to himself just by making all these Zerglings. He's got some drones on the way now. The rest of the Zerglings need to get up the ramp. They do in time. The Immortal's holding the line. The Adept, what a save at the back. But the Lings are inside the main. Another Immortal pops out. Barrier is activated, but the Lings rip through it real quick. Shields are down, and now just HP. That Immortal gonna try to live. He's microing it down. Protoss unit's very good, and suddenly... So, the Immortal lives, also up to its name. Despite losing the Sentry, despite all those Lings getting into his base, Cheesytoss will survive with a comfortable worker count, 2 Immortals. He's got a hard wall at the net, but there's already a Warp Prism most of the way done. So that went not nearly as well as Impact and probably everyone else expected. So, now while Impact snuck some drones out after this, Looks like the Overlord was killed here. Am I correct about that? No, the Overlord backed off. He knew there would probably be high ground vision soon. But a 2 Immortal Prism. It's not going to be easy to stop, because Impact, when you're building that many Lings, you're not building Queens. And then you have to build drones. You can't just build Lings and Queens and drones. Math doesn't work like that. Last I checked. But the Immortal Drop coming in. He's going to use those barriers to get a few extra shots off for free. Now, Impact is stuck at this kind of low-tech situation. He's got a few more drones, but he doesn't have the economy to reliably just go up and get lair, get a huge amount of hatch tech units. He's got to decide, even though he's up against Immortals, he's making Roaches, more than likely to get some Ravagers out. Because Ravagers, they cost a lot of gas, but you can get them on hatchery tech without investing in a lair. And that Corrosive Bile helpful against Force Field, which is a possibility. And also Ravagers not armored units. So that means Immortals are less effective against them. They're kind of your budget Hydralisk, I guess, depending on if the Corrosive Biles land. So Cheesytoss moved out. Looks like that gateway will be taken out of Purgatory. But he backed off. He knew there was an Overlord out there. He triggered Impact into trying to go out to mash that army. Remember, there is no lair, but charge is done. The Warp Prism brings another round of charge lots into the base. The Immortal's just stuck in between the Roach One and the Hatch. So Impact actually putting him in a situation, well, putting himself in a situation where the Immortals are really abusive. Now, this will be driven back. But, at what cost? 2 Queens have gone down thus far. More Zealots on the way up. Cheesytoss is ready to complement this. It might be Haz in disguise, or maybe not in disguise. I don't know if he was in the tournament or not. It just is a barcode, though, and there's no other name, so... Moving on. A bunch of charge lots, but a bunch of Roaches as well. The Roaches, they do not have speed. There's only a single Ravager in the back. Another round of Warpins. He has to be careful not to lose the Warp Prism, but with only 1 Ravager, it's not a massive risk. The Ravager is being used as a semi-wall. A Ghetto Zerg force field. But wait a second! There was a sentry in the Prism the whole time. The Corrosive Bile comes. Now, he has 2 Ravagers. He can drop another force field on the ramp. He does, but there's enough Ravagers now that he can continue to break through. Another Corrosive Bile preemptively before the force field, but the sentry gets the last laugh. Another Corrosive Bile comes out, but the Immortals blasting through. Zealots working on the drones on the third. A handful of Roaches and Ravagers that were locked out of the main will make their way there. So, it looks like most of the Protoss units will be cleaned up, and suddenly look at the supply. 102 to 54. There is no lair, and that's the huge part of this. I didn't get the kill count on the Immortals, but it's ridiculous. And probes are being built by Cheesytoss. Immortals 17 kills. Let me click on it in the Warp Prism. Is the technology not there? Apparently not. But despite Impact having the supply, you can't really leverage it into an attack. Because attacking into a player who has a Warp Prism, who has charge lots, potentially sentries, and right now Impact is only about to scout the third. Does this trigger an attack? The lair is halfway done. So he's in kind of an awkward spot. He has to decide, do I double down on the Roach Ravager tech? Do I go for Roach speed? Well, he's going to go for Roach speed. He has too many Roaches not to. And do I attack? Now, if I know Impact, I'm expecting Roach speed and then a Spire. Because that's one thing, when a player opens Robo, that's one thing that they're not really prepared for. The reason you don't see a Spire that early in a lot of Protoss versus Zerg is because Stargate openers are so common. And Stargate, by default, gives you access to strong anti-air units. The Zergling's trying to get by. +1, ranged attack is on the way. And now here's the decision point. Impact has to decide he's going to get Roach speed, right? But then, Hydralisk Den, or a next level of tech after. Well, Impact, get Roach speed. Impact, get Roach speed. He'll hear me eventually. I mean, this game was played days ago, but maybe weeks. I don't actually know the date. Starcraft is timeless. But this is kind of relevant because it's on the current patch, in the current map contest as I'm casting it. But anyways, StarCraft is timeless. That's what I'm trying to say. The Immortal Drop comes in again. Impact will be maintaining this supply lead, but just look at the army values. Well, Impact has a little bit more in the gas with the Ravagers. It's just a hard unit to make work. A lot of Zerglings are coming in, freeing up even more gas. He's got a lot banked up. He just now starts the roach speed. It's definitely a mistake. That should have already been finishing. With that, this attack looks a lot stronger. But the ability to manipulate the battlefield with force fields and just the general units that he has for Cheesytoss has, rather. Even with Corrosive Bow to break force field, gonna make this very difficult. It starts off strong here. 5 Immortals in the back line. One with 18 kills, the other with 27. The rest learning from the best. Guardian Shield is used. The battery's helping out these Archons a lot. A lot of damage coming through. Enough Roaches and Ravagers to bash through many of the Immortals. The ones with next to no HP standing in the back line and will survive again. DTs are on the way. There is no Overseer. The DTs haven't been scouted quite yet, and Impact plummets in supply. How many Immortals were taken out? 2. This whole game. So, Impact continues making Roaches. He's tripling down at this point. Like, it's not going to get better. Roaches are going to continue to be countered well. He's hoping for a mistake, and there you wait us. Oh, the Changeling block! What a play! He drags the army back. The Changelings are blocking units. He's now warping in. He figured out about the Changelings, but the big plays out of Impact. And that's where that other Immortal was in the fight. So there obviously is an Overseer somewhere. I'm not sure where it is now, but I believe he saw the Dark Templar and realized this was a DT drop type of deal. 8 probes died. So that brings Cheesytoss down a little bit. And there we go. You see, Impact just had to take some time to get there. But there's the Spire. Now that he's... You can't just keep going Roach Ravager. It's got diminishing returns, and those returns are already at... At this point, he's barely breaking even. Blink is on the way. I'm not sure if Cheesytoss has scouted the... I don't believe he has. You know, the sneakiest way to put a Spire is, like, right where you would put a Spore or Spine Crawler, so they don't recognize what it actually is. No, probably recognize. But Blink is on the way as transitioning into a Stargate. He both doesn't have really the economy, and it's risky, because what if Impact just keeps making Roaches? Some players will just keep making Roaches, no matter what time in the game or game time it is. Spire's nearly done. Impact is banking up 800 minerals. It looks like he's going to go straight to Mutas, but unfortunately a split second, almost the perfect time. If that Spire had just finished, that would have been the perfect time. But now Impact has a hard decision to make. Does he just go for the Mutas? No! No! He vetoes that idea. Roaches and Ravagers. Mutas are not going to stop these Immortals and these Archons on the way across the map, and there's plenty of Stalkers as well. He needs to put as much army on the ground as possible. The Corrosive Bows come out. Armies will tussle for a moment. What a fun word, though. With Charge Lance trying to get some damage off, and Archon taken out. Kind of surprising Cheesytoss gave up that position, but he does have Blink and +2 finishing. A handful of Mutas on the way now. Starting to realize he has the standing army to handle the ground, so might as well get something to really work and, well, drag as much back as possible to deal with the Mutas. Is he going to do the same Changeling bot? Almost working again, but the Roaches and Ravagers swing into the natural. I'm not sure who's overwhelming who here. It seems good for our Protoss player, but the sheer amount of Roaches and Ravagers is quite great. Impact is dipping in supply. The juggling is good, not great. He loses a couple of Immortals in the mix here. The 2 original Immortals, the OGs, 35 kills, and, well, 35. Am I clicking on the right Immortal? 35 and 37. Over 70 kills on these Immortals. The rest trying to live up to their glory. But Impact dips heavily in supply again, because Roach Ravager, no matter how good of an engagement or how overwhelming numbers, with that many Archons and Immortals, you're going to take a hit. More Roaches and Ravagers are on the way, but Cheesytoss moving forward. The army supply is pretty close to even, and a lot of that is in, well, 12 supply is in Mutas on the other side of the map. Cheesytoss is going to be bleeding probes, but if the micro is here, the Immortals might be enough. +2 is done. Blank is done. Corrosive Vials are landing, but where are the units on the ground? Impact might have to drag back his Mutalisks to be able to deal with this. The Warp Prism is gone, which means the Stalkers are the only anti-air here. Impact is forced to pull off his base. He has built a 4th. Neither player has been over 60 workers, maybe even over 50 workers in this match. A handful of Blink Stalkers are recalled back. 7 probes have gone down, but the 3rd base of Impact is gone as well. A base in the top right, mostly a reaction to the Mutas. There's no cannons and only Blink Stalkers, so not the easiest response, but the drones come off the line. Recall is just used. These Immortals cannot be saved. He really wants to kill the Stalkers. He's banking on the Mutas coming back and isolating groups of units and taking them out. At least that looks like where Impact is going with this. He killed all of the Immortals. He knew those were going to go down. The Mutas have survived. The Stalkers are on the chase. The Refugee probes looking for a place to mine. Mutas intercepted by a handful of Stalkers, but more probes. Ah! Impact! The Mutas are everything here. It really does come down. Well, Impact lost 2 bases. No bases were killed for Cheesytoss. Did he make a big enough impact on his economy? It just seems like everything was a little bit too slow and a few units short for Impact thus far. You can see the style he likes to play. Just catching units out, catching players off guard. But our Protoss will stabilize. Even though he has limited economy, Impact is on 2 bases. Well, 1 base mining minerals. +2 Blink Stalkers. There's charge lots. How many roaches? 11 roaches, 2 Ravagers total. A handful of Lings. There are no Archons with this. The Muta's still looking for an opportunity, but doesn't seem there are any. Blink Stalkers blinking in. If Impact couldn't make it work with 40-50 more supply, this wasn't going to work either. Cheesytoss takes it. I'd love to find out who that was. But I just want to... Triton, it kind of played out like a relatively standard game. A bit of a choke point near the natural here. And apparently the larger ramp factoring it. We saw that a little bit. But it really felt like Impact should have done more damage with the early Zerglings. I don't know exactly how that failed. Maybe if you'd gotten 12 more Zerglings, that would have been the ticket. But not really tacking up quite quick enough. Taking a little bit too long to make the decision, and then, well,
good.
Not enough impact.
Now I have your attention.
Congratulations on 1,000 games. If you liked this game, if you liked this video, make sure to smash that like button, so that way I can uninstall the Epic Games Launcher. Subscribe today.